Thank you for getting up early in the morning and jumping on the show and talking about something that I know both you and I are very passionate about. So it's a pleasure to have you on board.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. I have one request before we get started.
Absolutely.
Will you will you give me a little rap before we get off today?
Excellent. Yes, I'll give you a wrap for sure. And I want you then to
Maybe
give
we
me,
can wrap it up.
yeah, I want you
Maybe we
then to
can
give
wrap
me,
it. Mhm.
give me like two words, and we'll start off the freestyle rap with 2 words.
Okay, I have a feeling the two words are going to be toxic masculinity.
Okay, ready? Let's go. Toxic masculinity. This is coming from the heart. It's hard to see, but really, we're not invincible. In fact, there's a lot of things that make us feel so critical in danger, but at the same time, the power that's coming through, we just want to shine. No more shackles and chains. No more keeping us in shame. This is about bringing forth this energy inside. It's a new kind of force, but it doesn't need to be forced. It's about the power and being at peace with that, and also seeing that there's more to that than just this rap. Take that. Boom.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I actually kind of teared up a little bit in the behind my eyes. I could feel it. I was like, thank you. This is the perfect way to start. Oh my gosh. Beautiful, so
Yes.
heartfelt. Can I ask? I'm just curious because we connected and we've chatted, but and I watched your one video and I'm just like cracking up laughing. I love the your ability to bring from your heart to your tongue to out. Like
Mm,
I'm curious, how are you able to be such a game changer through? I mean, you're a game changer through your voice, I'm assuming a lot, and like where did that come from? Have you just always been like
mm.
that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely been something that has come from, no, it's not always been like that. I think it's something that you just, yeah, you get better at showcasing that truth or that game-changing truth over time without it being restrained. And so I do it through my voice. I can do it also through my movement, whether I'm dancing or something like that. And I think it's really just showing up and having some consistency behind that and allowing that to be not like pushed down inside, but more come out more and just shine up because yeah, it doesn't otherwise it's not doing anyone any good if you're holding that back. So I don't hold back. Let's just say
Shine
that.
up. I haven't heard shine up before. I'm gonna steal that. Shine up. I'm totally gonna steal that. Shine up, shine up, shine up. I love that. Oh my gosh.
Excellent. I'm fired up too now. You got me fired up. Can you give me one number between 1 and 16? Because part of this show is too on Sundays I give away like an audio book or something like a game-changing give back. And so if you can give me a number between 1 and 16, I've got 16 people that have commented in the last few videos that I'd love to give something back to them. So if you just give me a number, we can start the show off like that as well.
Right. Number 8.
Number 8. Excellent. Okay, so we got Tammy and I'm saying probably the last name wrong, McNulty, but Tammy McNulty, you have a game-changing giveaway, which is the Unlock or Unleash the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. So that audio book is yours, and we'll get that sorted at the end of the show. So thank you, Tammy. Yeah, boom. All right,
Woo.
all right. Okay, Leela, I want you to tell me what you're up to on this earth, just like a little minute, like spiel of who you are, what you're about. If anyone was watching right now that doesn't know who you are and what you're about, I would love to hear. Please share.
Yeah, I'll give you the kind of quick and dirty. I used to be a environmental or a professor of environmental policy at the Ohio State University, which is the biggest university in the country. And I left academic institutions to build a life of my own on my own terms, build a business. And basically, I bring yoga philosophy, really forward-thinking yoga philosophy into business. So I'm a business coach, but I
Mm,
teach people not only all the business strategies around sales, marketing, high ticket, offers, all of that. But I also teach really awakening leaders how to create a new relationship with money through having a new way of being, where as they become a certain way, money just comes, clients just come, the vision just comes. And so I teach, I'm a business coach, I teach strategy to I'm a coach's coach, but I'm really more about helping people shift their way of being and create a new relationship with money. And then forever, life is totally different, totally different. So that's what I'm
mm,
about. I tend to work with very forward-thinking, visionary, awakening leaders, people who are on the edge and they can't figure out quite how to make a business, and I help them make it happen. So it's really fun.
Excellent. Excellent. It makes sense why you're on the show. I was like, that's exactly the philosophy of Game Changers, which is like really just changing the way we can play life. So thank you so much for being here.
Mm.
And let's get into our juicy clickbait topic tonight, which is really about, well, I guess
Yeah.
it's morning for you, but really about like, and part of why this is set up, part of why this came about, and for those just tuning in, wherever you're tuning in from, just put a little like emoji if you can hear us clearly, as well as like where you're tuning in from, what part of the world. We'd love to hear that. But really what came about is I saw Lila post this video about masculinity and why she will, take a stand for men and be united in that. And it was a really powerful video, and it moved me, as long as like, I think it's like 5,000 other people that have watched that video, that really moved them as well. And so it was a powerful message of like, I got to get this, I got to get you on the show and speak more to this, because I think you had 5 minutes or 6 minutes speaking about it on the live or the video that you posted. And I was like, I want this message to be heard even more than that, expand it, and be able to have a whole show dedicated to what we're just talking about. So I would love if you could
Thank you.
speak more to that video, what sparked the inspiration behind it, and also, where's that taking you now, and what's the purpose of it now, the drive behind it.
Mm, I love this. This is it's fascinating how life takes us down rabbit holes, down paths that we don't even know we were going to go down. I grew up with my biological father was a homeless man in New York City a lot of his life. So I didn't have a father figure. My stepfather wasn't really strong enough to step in. I had a very strong mother who was not kind and had more actually probably toxic masculinity expressed through her than I've seen through probably any man, honestly. And so I'm probably the most unlikely person to be standing up for men, right? Like I've had very little, I've been through several relationships. I've had very few positive men in my life. Here's what I'll say. When I started my business and when I got into yoga and all of this, what I recognized was that everybody has a story.
Mm.
All of these men who were, quote, bad and doing bad things, what I realized was most of them were raised by single moms or by moms who were extremely powerful and put down the man in the relationship. So they were the decider of how things were going to go anyways. And I was like, and then I started working with all these amazing, beautiful men. And all my male clients are just mind blowing. Their hearts are huge. They're so like driven, but also kind. And so I started realizing my own story about men was wrong. I was actually becoming a better woman. Like I had a spiritual awakening in 2014, as I became, the kind of woman who forgave people easy, who loved people without judgment. I started attracting actually really beautiful men into my life, professionally, personally, everywhere. And then the rise of Me Too, and I was actually going through my own sexual harassment issue during Me Too.
Mhm.
So, but I was able to deal with it with love and grace and kindness, because let's just be honest, anybody that has to do sexual harassment is in pain,
Mhm.
period. If somebody can't get somebody to love on them, they're hurting. And so I'm seeing a bigger picture here. Everybody's hurting, basically. Everybody's hurting. And as women, what I recognize is we're the feminine energy. That's the love. That's the only way to heal this. It's not through division. It's through unity. It's through saying, hey, men, you hurt me, and I love you anyways.
I'm just
And
let
so
that.
I'm willing to just, yeah, I'm willing to just really speak out and say, like, what would it be like to just do this thing a little bit different? What would it be like to look at our president, to look at the issues in the news, just with a little bit more loving eye from the feminine, and see what happens? And what in my own personal life and professionally, what happens is usually everybody grows, everybody feels better. So I'm really grateful to be here to talk to you about this, because this topic is so powerful, and it's people like you who see it, right? It's like you're willing to share.
Mm. Yeah, I just wanted to let that last line just sink in for everyone too, and really that, I mean, to be able to see all of it and to love through it anyway, like to see all of the, like you said, the ability that, hang on a minute, these people are hurt deep down inside. These actions do have a story behind it, and the response to that isn't divide, separation, but unity, and seeing through it all as like, how can I love and forgive this person? You know what, you did this to me anyway, but how, you did this to me anyway, but how is me creating that separation? How is me blaming or interrogating or, setting you up on some separation going to solve that? But if I'm able
Mm-hmm.
to love through that and see that, like, for example, you said toxic masculinity, and that your mother was actually, more in terms of toxic masculinity, more than any man that you'd met. And so that right away raises the question, hang on a minute, toxic masculinity. Wait, I thought that was about men. You know, I thought that was about men. And so, and when you talk, you're feminine, and to being able to love through the feminine, I thought that was just about women. Oh, wait, this raises a question. Are you saying that within us, that we have that ability to drop into that feminine side as well, and men to love too through these things, and for women to take ownership of when their toxic masculinity is taking over as well in different parts of their lives.
Yeah. I'll share with you, I was at a shop the other day and I was buying something, and we were chatting about money and how a lot of youngsters don't know how to count money because they always have cards.
Hmm.
And the woman says, oh, that's just one thing about the millennials that I don't like. I've got a 21-year-old and a 25-year-old, and I looked at her and I said, do you realize you raised them? And she looked at me and she goes, I've never thought about it like that. And I'm
Mm,
like, all these people complaining about other people, it's like, all the people complaining about the men, the women raised them.
yeah.
Like that to me, when I kind of had that aha, and I'll tell you, I think there's a lot of women out there who aren't having that aha right. And I hope you're I hope some of you are having an aha right now of like, oh yeah, women raise these men. And the thing is, the victimhood, right? The victimhood is safe, is really what it is. The victimhood is actually a power position. If we stay a victim, we get more attention,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
If we are not a victim, if we're in our full power, actually not that many people will always pay attention to us.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. In
Uh-huh.
fact, there might even be some criticism for taking back that power. And so, shifting from the victim side of things into the power side of things is really, this is like women regaining back their power, in terms of, we're not going to be a victim of
It's
some
so
movement. And it's a
it's very
beautiful thing to,
healthy.
yeah, it is a very healthy transition, as well as the role, like the exemplification that you're setting for not only your children, or because you're right, the women are raising these men, or in
Yeah.
every man's life, there's so many women behind that man, or that has inflicted or affected the growth and development of that man. And
Yeah.
so
And
it's,
I'm gonna say I've been probably one of the most strongest persecutors. I was in a relationship before. There's plenty of times where I said to my husband, don't be a pussy, right?
yeah,
Stand up, be a man, right? I am guiltier than guilty. And I it hurts even sharing that, but I want to share that to say it's okay if you're a woman out there and you've done it, because just learn from it and don't do it again. Right? Like I mean, I learned I that was for me the biggest aha when I used to blame my ex, all my ex-boyfriends or whatever for all the things. And then I realized, wait a minute, look at all the pain that I caused.
mm,
Look at all the words, the sharp tongue, right? The bringing down with just an eyeball look. That's what women have. We can do that.
damn straight, very
And
powerful.
yeah, I choose to never bring anybody down ever again, including a partner, no matter how much pain I'm in.
That's a bold choice to come to, and I dare say there's not a lot of people that can come to that choice. So, in terms of strength, in terms of power, and in terms of making that choice, what brought you to that choice? And just everyone to comment
Mm,
along if you agree, or if you just send some love to Lilia for making such a choice, because that's a very, to me, it's quite rare to hear someone say that made that choice, despite all their hurt, to love through that, not to bring someone down.
Well, to be honest, it wasn't working any other way. I'm really good at a lot of things. I'm really good at a lot of things. I have a really strong work ethic. I can work hard. I have a great sense of commitment to my own body, so I take really good care of myself. Relationship, on the other hand, was not easy for me. And what I realized, this is the key, I was hanging on to hurt from that mother that I told you about. I was hanging on. And once I was able to forgive her, but more importantly, forgive myself for hanging on to it for like 35 years, um, I was able to open up and see all the pain that I'd caused men, all the pain that I'd caused anybody. So all the childhood stuff that we go through, right? If we're not feeling fully loved, we're going to project on a partner, project on the president, project on just a group of people that feels different than us of any sort. And so that was really the key to unlocking my potential for loving men, was healing the toxic masculinity that I had faced when I was a child through my mother, actually. It really didn't have to do with my father. It had to do with my mother, healing that. Then I was able to forgive the men, myself, and now, I really don't have problems with anybody.
Yeah. And
Which is
anyone
I
that's
feel.
like in your presence could tell that right away, right? I mean, we've been on a call for like on the live for like 5-10 minutes, not even, and already like some of the messages we exchanged back and forth. We had actually set this live up last week, and I screwed up on the timing, and there was no problem there from you, and I felt that, and so
Mhm.
that's a big shift, and just everyone cluing in too that like that's just on right now or watching this replay. That was a significant thing that Lila shared in terms of 35 years. That's a length of time in which she held on to parts of herself that weren't loved enough or weren't forgiven enough. And that was able to heal the outsourcing or the projections that she was putting, whether that was the president, whether that was partners, whatever that is for you, being able to heal that inside first and foremost. The charge around that, the charge around outsourcing that just it collapses. It collapses. And I would imagine, and I'm speaking from my own personal experience, but from your experience as well, I would imagine it creates a very different way of playing life. It's like, hang on a minute. This is, it's not like things are like it's not like your whole life has changed in terms of like you're in a different place. You're in the same places in the same scenarios probably, but you're just different.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just different.
Everything's different. Everything is. I love the way you say that, because I literally feel like what I call myself is kind of like a baby grown up. It's like before, everything felt hard. I wasn't really getting where I wanted to go ever. Like, I never really felt connected, no matter if I was like cuddling with somebody or in a group of people, nobody got me, right? And I'll still feel like that sometimes,
Hmm.
but that's just because I'm usually out there, for I'm on the cusp usually of everything that I'm doing in life. So I
Hmm.
might feel that a little bit, but I don't feel it at all the same way. I know that at any point I can easily connect with somebody,
Mm.
because even if they're acting like a total asshole, let's just be honest, even if they're acting like a total asshole, I can see through it.
Drop the mic. If I was a rapper, I'd drop the mic right now. See through it. I love that. I
And I'm going to
love
tell you
that.
right now, I'm an asshole sometimes.
Hmm.
Every once in a while, I kind of do stuff, and I can, even in the moment, or within 5 minutes usually, I can see right through it and forgive myself. I can, it's all okay. It's all part of the human
It is
experience.
part of the human
And so,
experience. It is very much part of the human experience, and it's very quick. The key here is too how quickly she can see through it and forgive herself. That's how quickly she can move on from that, and she's not stuck in asshole mode and like regret around asshole mode for however long that's held on to throughout your days, right? So if we're talking 5 minutes to see through that, 5 minutes to shift that and forgive yourself and love, and come back to an equilibrium in the sense of life, of love of life, that's very powerful. It's a very powerful tool, and it's a tool everyone has
yeah,
access to. It's a tool everyone has access to. So thank you for sharing that. I
yeah,
would.
absolutely.
Mm. And I would love now to speak about too, just this, we mentioned toxic masculinity, and we mentioned it through your mother. We mentioned it a few times. Let's just explore what that is, toxic masculinity. Let's explore right now on the call and what that's about. Because I had a friend dropped in, and he said he couldn't, he won't be able to tune into this live, but he said he really wanted to inquire about toxic masculinity and what the problem is around that, and whether less masculinity is the problem or not. And sort of when you asked me to freestyle rap at the start, I kind of talked about this thing behind power, and that with the Me Too movement and with a lot of these movements, that the masculinity or masculine power is kind of being like seen as like, whoa, it's a dangerous thing. And so there's this for most men, it's this repression of it and don't know what to do with it, but yet that's still very much a part of who they are. And that's for women as well. It's part of, it's like, and
Yeah.
what do we do with this now? Like, because if we let it out too much, it might be like completely just looked at as the wrong way. But so it becomes this distorted version of what we're supposed to do with this power, and it's not being expressed, and it's a very powerful thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm lit up right now. Just this topic. I apologize about the camera being. I'm used to doing this way, so I'm trying not to get it shaky. Okay, I think I've got
No,
it
no,
figured
it's,
out.
it's all good.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, as a reminder, I used to be a professor of policy at Ohio State University, so I have a lot of background in writing, in framing things, because policy is all about framing.
Hmm.
First off, just the fact that we have the phrase toxic masculinity, just the fact that people have chosen to put those two words next to each other has fucked men over.
Absolutely.
Sorry, but it's true. Nobody's talking about toxic femininity.
Hmm.
So I'm going to start there. Because it's all bullshit. It's
It
all
is.
bullshit. It's all a way to make men look worse and make women the victim. And that's a power play. It's a power play. It's a feminine power play. Okay, so what is toxic masculinity? Where are we seeing it? Where we're really seeing is this, what we think of as kind of like, I would say the one thing is anger.
Yeah.
So in the feminine energy expresses sadness down, right? Masculine energy expresses anger up. If men aren't expressing anger, their penis won't get hard. Women want everything. They want a man to bang them up against the wall like 50 Shades of Grey,
Mm.
and they want the guy to shut up and sit down and just mow the lawn. Like, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Okay, I'm on a little rant. I'm gonna get off the soapbox.
Rants are welcome on Game Changers live show.
You
And
know what I
just yeah.
mean? But seriously, like this is the truth of what's going on. Women are like, I can't find a good man, and at the same time they're like, ah, he gets so angry. It's like, well, what if he's allowed to get angry as long as he's not doing anything to you? Just like let him go do his thing. You go do your crybaby thing if you need to. We're all allowed to do it, right? And so toxic masculinity, I think the big thing that is being noticed is anger and that we're trying to suppress it, right? Men don't have an outlet. They're not hunting. They're not fighting. There's no way to, you see little boys, they're always jumping off of stuff, whacking on each other. It's like puppies that bite on each other's neck. It's not about toxicity. It's about expressing energy, physically, verbally, just getting it out. Men are holding my stepfather died at the age of 58,
Hmm.
and I think it's because he couldn't. There was no way for him to get his emotion out.
Yeah.
He just was raised in a time you do not express emotion. It's killing men.
It
If
is.
if it's not killing them, they're killing themselves, right? So I'm of the mindset that I actually I can talk about toxic masculinity because I have it. I've expressed it. I have strong masculine energy. You can probably tell, right? I'm driven. I'm bold, right? I get focused and I go for whatever I want. But at the same time, it's the integration of within. It's the masculine and the feminine. How can I do that in a way that's loving?
Mm.
How can I do that in a way that's collaborative, like we're doing here?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And to even speak about the emotions that aren't being fully expressed for men or for the masculine, and how that's killing us. It's so true. I mean, I'm not sure in terms of statistics in America, but I know in Australia, like the second leading cause of death in Australia is suicide. And out of that suicide, it's every 3 and 4 suicides are men. And the big thing of that is the expression of those emotions and the anger that, like you said, if you look at young boys, they're always fighting, always bickering back and forth. They're having their play time and this wrestle time. And it's a very central
Mhm.
role to move this energy, this power that's inside of us, both men and women, that's inside of us, very much from that masculine side that wants to come out, like anger, and wants to uplift and rise. And so to to not let that surface or to have a repressed version of that, it distorts it within, and it creates a very unpleasant sensation of like, where does this get to be expressed? I recall this not too long ago, having met someone very briefly in an intimate space for like a week retreat, and halfway through the day, it was like third day, and I was like, we need to wrestle like monkeys. Like, can we do this right now? And for him and I to just wrestle like monkeys, like just let it out, just throw each other around, it was bloody invigorating. I was like, wow, where's that been? That's been missing. Like, I don't, I used to wrestle with my dad in high school, but I got too big and
Wow.
too much. But, I do believe that there's got to be, and this doesn't have to be through wrestling, there can be expression of anger in other ways. So we might as well, drop in a form of expressing one's anger in a healthy way, in a
Mhm.
way that suits them. So for you, what's your personal way of letting anger come through? And you know,
Yeah.
it's not so much that anger is like always in the power of like masculine. It's like anger is the only expression. No, it's to say that at times we get angry. We do. We feel into it. We have a beautiful emotional palette as a human being. Let's feel into all of that emotional palette, right? And so, yeah,
Yes.
I would love for you to speak to that.
Yeah, this is probably one of the hardest things for me. I will be very clear because of my fear of my own masculinity, of my own anger, right? It's been programmed into me to be scared of it.
Yeah.
And so I really, this is probably one of the biggest struggles for me is to express anger. So here's what I do. I do, right? One is if you're having a disagreement with somebody and you're a little bit angry, it's actually okay. Like to just express where I'm coming from. I had a situation not too long ago where I was able just to stand in it was that feeling of the masculine, the tree trunk,
Mm,
solid,
yeah.
right? Speaking directly my words, no joke, right? And that's okay. It wasn't coming off as blamey, you did this, you did that. It was knowingness, speaking truth, solid. I even said to the person, I said, you do not know me,
Mm,
right?
mm,
This was an anger place. It
yes.
rose, but it never come out, it didn't come out as a negative towards the other person. Now, some women would not, and some men even would not be willing to speak so boldly and harshly and angry, right? Because it would be mean. And then they'll be calling their friends later and, can you believe it? It's like, just get it over with. Just express it, get it out, get it over with, and move on. And
Yes.
the thing is we have to be okay with receiving anger. If somebody's angry,
Mm,
it's not about us. It's them.
yeah.
It's okay. Totally okay. Like we can feel for them, but it doesn't mean like right or wrong. I don't really think women need to be defining what healthy masculinity is, right? I think that probably could be taken care of by men.
Definitely. I love that you shared all of that. I mean, really, that's an education on anger in a lot of ways, and a very effective way to express that, like to be able to with the trunk, and to know that okay, how you're receiving anger is also how you're like inside okay with it or not. So
Hmm.
if I'm receiving anger from you in a very like frantic way, or a way that's like this person, this little, it's like I'm actually not okay with expressing my own anger in myself. And so
Scary. It's not safe.
Yeah, exactly. And to not feel like it's safe or to have fear around how I'm expressing this anger, it's very much programmed into us. It is. It truly is. And so to experiment with how you can express the anger, it's not to say that you're angry all the time, but it is to say that you will find in that healthy expression of that anger, like you had demonstrated there, and how you said to that person, you do not know me. You do not know me. And so in that healthy expression of that anger, it actually opens up a lot more space, like a bigger capacity to drop into like a love for yourself, or like you find there's a shift, right? There's a shift that takes place after
Mhm.
the anger has been boom, let out, boom, keyword let out, not kept within, where it becomes this muffled, confused, angry version of yourself that you're kind of disowning, like, no, that's not appropriate, that's
Mhm.
why,
Or just keeping it here, right? I could have
yeah.
thought like, oh, that person doesn't know me. Oh, but like it could be, nah, it's just done, spoken, done.
Mm.
And
Yes,
also, I mean,
being able to speak it
that's part of the releasing, right? Like
yes.
you and I think are similar in that, like we are releasing is through speech, and then also movement, right? I'm very, very committed to movement. My bowstring practice, the kind of yoga I practice.
Hmm.
It's bouncy, it's pulsing, right? I breathe a lot, and anytime anger actually comes out of me through laughter, often actually. So if I have something going on, I'll kind of move and start giggling and get a laughing attack.
Love
That's how
that.
it actually will kind of come out of me. Yeah, 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 yeah. During the exercise. Mhm.
Yeah, that's excellent. And everyone that's tuning in and watching the replay too, just comment how your healthy way of expressing anger is. Lila mentioned for her, it is eventually going to turn into a laughing attack. So I would love to bear witness to that, but we'll
Yeah.
see. So
I mean, we're
just,
just hilarious. Being human's funny. Being
yeah,
human is
it
just
is.
hilarious once you start to kind of feel into it. Yeah.
It's tremendously like quite an experience to be human. And so I know for me,
Mhm.
anger, like my expression of anger, if it's just by myself or if there's not a person present, I'm not out loud, it's definitely pillow. Like, I'm sorry, me and this pillow, we going down. Like, this pillow it's game on. It's game on. And
Oh,
you'll
yeah.
find there's beautiful ways to express anger physically, out loud, verbally, even to a forest and go out in the forest. I always ask permission to the forest if I'm allowed to like yell like a crazy man, just to give the forest a heads up. But it's a great place to just go and just like literally yeah, just release everything that's inside and just vibrate it from the inner core, from that core state of your being, right? Which is for most people. And when I started doing this, I know a lot of my high school career, I repressed my anger tremendously, especially in sport and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So for me to go out and release a lot of that and get that healthy relationship back to it, only because when I was really young, my anger, I felt I wasn't always in control, and that I got told to fear it and et cetera, et cetera. So when I got to express it again, there was like years, high school years of anger inside of me that hadn't been expressed, hadn't been moved. So I invite everyone that's watching and that's listening right now to just bring some subtle awareness. It's like, oh, is there anger inside of me? Maybe it's a partner. Maybe it's maybe it's that person that just pissed me off looking at me that way, gave me that eyeball up and down, right? It's being able to express that, and there might be years where it hasn't been expressed. So highly encourage
Yeah.
everyone to do so.
This is huge. I'm so glad you brought this up because this is really the core of what I do in life, of my teachings, is that if we're holding on to something, right,
Mhm.
it's going to reflect everywhere. Like if you have a business, for example, and you're holding on to anger from the past, everybody knows. Even if they don't know subconsciously, they don't want to work with you. So the anger has to come out. It's actually in the body. It's being held on. And
Yeah.
so it's unhealthy, one, for like I said, my stepdad died at 58. Both of my fathers died before they were 60. And I think a lot of it was all the emotional challenges. The body is holding it all. And
Yeah.
so if, like you said, you have high school years, what if somebody has 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, 60
Yeah.
years of this stuff in their body? I would offer you everybody to reach out to one of us or somebody and say, how can I get rid of this? How can I get rid of this out of my body? It's time, right? It's time to get rid of it so I can be healthier. And that if your success, like in life, in terms of relationships, money, any of that, it could be just this one thing, right? Just letting go of the anger, physically expressing it. And that could actually lead to way more success in life just from letting some shit go
Yeah.
and learning how. Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And just also the learning how part. So I'll add my piece to that, and I'd love if you could add your piece to some guidance in the learning how part. But for me personally, I would say to everyone that's wanting to embark on this journey, and everyone should be embarking on this journey, when the time's right for them, you'll feel it, is that just inquire, like, the learning how to let go of this, or to
Mm.
to express lots of this, or even for a friend or something, you can just inquire inside of yourself. You can literally ask yourself how, and I guarantee the next thing that will take over is like, oh, this is how you're supposed to like go outside and just ram it. It's like, what is that? Seriously, that's how? Like, it's that, you know what I
That's
mean?
it.
Like, it can be that simple, and it doesn't have to. It can just be, yeah. So inquire, listen to what is the response, because that response, I guarantee, is what's been wanting to respond for so long that hasn't had the chance to.
Yeah, I love that. I will add just one little piece is a daily commitment to
Hmm.
yourself. Really, a daily commitment to listening to the body, the emotions, to say, do I need to check in and let something go? Just a daily commitment to yourself, because most people are daily committed to others, right? But maybe not so daily committed to themselves. So checking in, like you're saying, and on the daily, will move you forward way faster.
Hmm. Way
Hmm.
faster. Love that. Awesome. I'm also opening up the space now, those that are tuning in live and or on the replay too as well. All the questions or all the comments, they definitely get answered on this show. So I'm opening up the space for any questions you have for Lila and I here on the show that we can discuss. And we have so far talked about masculinity. And I'm so not using the word toxic masculinity anymore. It just does not resonate, especially after what you dropped. So
Thank you.
no, no
I
way.
love it. I mean, that if that's like
It's a
if
typo.
that's what came out of this show, one person will not use that word anymore. Like for
Oh,
me, I'm like I'm gonna skip out of here, brother. Oh
uh,
my God, like I had this is good. I'm actually gonna probably go on a little movement myself. It's like, what if we stop using that word?
absolutely.
Not
What if
great.
we did? Because
Uh-huh.
you put it so, you put it excellently in an excellent way when you said that there isn't really a toxic femininity. Like, you don't hear about that. So why the fuck is there a toxic masculinity? And what sort of box or container is that putting masculinity across the globe in? What box is that putting it in? What perception do we have on masculinity? Because words are powerful, very, very powerful things. They're like a spell. Like if you're a Harry Potter
It's
fan or something.
it's subtle, it's subliminal.
It's very
It's like
subliminal.
it's trying to make boys bad from day one.
Mm. Boys
Mhm.
bad from day one. This reminds me of all the boys wanting to be bad boys growing up. I was like, oh, the bad boys, they always get the girls.
They do, I know, I know. But that's the th exactly. The bad boys always get the girls.
Mm,
Why? Because they're not actually bad. They're just expressing themselves.
that's a beautiful take on.
Isn't that interesting?
That is very interesting.
Okay. I know we said we'd leave with three things, so I wanted to make sure to kind of leave everybody with three things.
Hmm.
When we talked about like, what are the three reasons men are needed right now more than ever in this world of, really volatile conversations, relationships between men and women. Um, and I really felt into, and I feel like it's the past, present, and future. It's the where men are needed more now than ever because in the past, so this generation is a generation raised by a lot of single mothers. And so men are needed more now than ever because the past hasn't raised men that know how to use their masculine and feminine energies in a way that move the world forward. They just don't know. So we need men that are like you and that are game changers that are sharing ideas like this to help all these generations coming up to learn how to be a man, not how to be a mom, right? Not how to be a woman. That's how they were raised. So
Yeah.
that's one, I think, is this the fact that the past, how we raised men. The second is the present, right? We can see it's all over the news. There's a Supreme Court issue here in the U.S. There's a president thing. There's the Me Too movement. There, I mean, we could go on and around the world, right? Around what's going on, black out your photo and show those men what it would be like without women. It's right now. We need men right now, right? Because it's very clear, the writing's on the wall, that if we don't step up and unite like you and I are doing right here,
Mm,
we're going to be facing some challenges, whether it be through reproduction, whether it be through just general unhappiness, lack of love, right? I mean, there's, communities. We need to work together. We can't separate more than we already are.
yeah.
And then the future, really the future generations, I spoke to this. It's like women want a man who wants to knock them up against the wall and then, sit down on and not say anything. Well, that's not going to work, right? Our future generations are dependent on men being men, women being women, right? I know there, there's a spectrum in terms of masculine, feminine men, masculine, feminine women, but right now there's a lot of confusion.
Yeah. It's a damn lot of
What do we
confusion.
do? Yeah, women want to raise families. They want to be in the workplace. They want to have the social life. Same thing with men. Men want to be good fathers. They want to have career. They want to have good social life. So they want to get along with each other. And it's really confusing about what to do right now. So future is really unknown. And so I
It's,
really think that, it's game changers like you, people on your show who are the ones who are going to shape what's coming in the future. And I same thing, I'm going to say it again, is united we thrive, right? This separation of presence is really just, I think, a way for us to come together.
yeah.
Let them try to separate us. We're just going to come closer together.
Oh, I love you. I love you. Thank you so much. That is, yeah, and that was a great breakdown to put it from the past to the present to the future. And the past being this way of like, oh, actually, there was a lack of men really raising men out there, and that version of a man is outdated. And the now, and there is a ton of boys growing up into men that were raised by single moms that are in a very
Mm-hmm.
confused state of what does that mean to be a man? And I remember sitting with that same question. It used to be a burning question inside of me. What does it mean to be a man? And I used to go
Mm-hmm.
out and I used to ask people on the street. I'd literally go out and ask people on the street. I remember the first person I asked, I went into this like parlor with these big jacked up men and they had tattoos across their, like this one dude had a spider web up to his neck. And I walked in and he had this beard. I was like, okay, that seems like quite a man. And so I asked him, I said
Yeah.
him right there, and he said, "What does it mean to be a man?" And he was like, "What kind of fucking question is that?" And then he sat there and he thought
That's a
about it.
man.
Yeah, he thought about it. He's like, ah. And I let him sink. I let that sink in, and it was so interesting to go around the streets. And I just went along the streets of Australia, in Sunshine Coast where I'm living at right now. And it was so interesting to see all these different versions of that answer. And I know, for instance, that tattoo parlor, the man for himself, he said, to me, it means family, being taking responsibility of family, as well as like this respect, this sense of respect coming through, and respect. And those he really was clear on those he respected and those he didn't respect. And two other things he added, but it was interesting for him to even acquire about that question and to ponder that, as well as the other people that I had all these different versions, whether it was a young man or whether it was an older man. It was some very interesting answers. And what I got out of the practice is that we're fucking so confused because the answers were just like,
Yes.
they were just all over the place. And
Oh my God.
it's not to say that there is a true quote
A
unquote
way.
answer, but it
Yeah.
was just very interesting to see the how skewed and like there wasn't even like I was thinking, oh, you know what? I'm gonna find a common theme emerge. Like I'm gonna find some sort of something
One
to
thing that they all say.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna find some sort of like backbone to this. That I'm like, yeah, that's what I mean. There was nothing. There was nothing that was close to that. There was this all this different versions and I was like, wow, we are really confused. There's a big question mark hanging in the present right now about that because there is so much of this emergence right now. There is so much of this emergence. And it's like
Yeah.
there is that confusion and I can feel that. I can feel that I can feel the intensity of that confusion or the lack of intensity, so to speak, as in it's just like, whoa, we're just gonna sit back and not deal with that confusion. And so to bring
Yeah,
presence, bring
it's
awareness.
interesting. Yeah, it's like there's people in the confusion who sit back and are like, whoa, right?
Hmm.
And there's people like you and I in the confusion who are like, what can we make out of this?
Exactly. So much
What
to
can
make
we,
of.
what's on, like, what's on the other side? That's what I'm excited about. I'm
Hmm.
like, ooh, like, what's on the other side? I have a feeling something really amazing, beautiful can be on the other side of this.
Absolutely. I have no doubt, no shred of doubt in my mind about that. And that starts first and foremost with us. It starts within, it starts leading that, like being an example of that. And so, and then,
Absolutely.
and that's in the in the confusion. That's where you see those lights, and you resonate with different. You resonate with the people that have an answer to that confusion, or at least embodying an answer that they so want to choose. And it's like, I like that answer because otherwise, I'm just gonna stay confused, and I don't have the energy or the time or the effort to deal with this. But if you're offering an answer that I really resonate with, I kind of like that. I want to jump on board that bandwagon, right? And so it's the bandwagon of the future that we're heading towards, and we'll see. We'll see
The
what.
bandwagon. I love that. The bandwagon of the future. I'm in. I'm totally in. So I want you
Excellent.
to know I have a bit of an obsession with Australia. I'm probably going to be down there next year. I had a time in my life like many maybe even game changers like you where you go through life and maybe you had some dreams and then you forgot about them and then they came back alive. Well, going to Australia was one of them. And so I'm hoping to I have some clients down there and I'm working with some people down there. I'm hoping to actually do some speaking and or maybe host an event or do some work and play, we'll say at the same time. So just keep an eye out for me, brother. That's all what I'm saying.
I'll keep
I'm
an
gonna
eye
be
out
down
for
there
you for
soon.
sure. There's definitely some cool, amazing places that I know that the locals know. So I'd love to show you that and to be a part of whatever you're co-creating and collaborating. So I thank you once again so much. I feel like we covered, we delivered on the promise. We got our three reasons, and we really covered a lot of territory. And I'm just more than grateful what came out of this conversation alone. And that's it. It's like there's so much value that can come out of conversation alone and being able to have that curiosity. There's a curiosity that everyone should hold on
Mm.
to in life. That curiosity, that fire. Don't lose that. Keep questioning. Keep looking for those answers, whatever that speaks to you. And I thank you so much for joining me on the show. And everyone else too that's watching and that came along for the ride and that will watch on the replay. We love you. We love you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a really beautiful night. I'm about to it's the first day of snow here in Denver, Colorado.
Oh wow.
So I'm gonna go out and enjoy it. Uh-huh.
Absolutely. Enjoy yourself. Thank you, Game
All right. Take
Changers.
care.
Take care. See ya.
Bye.